Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to do a little deep dive, break down a really important piece of public policy.
All right, welcome to our study group for PP 5340. We are digging into a policy initiative that is just incredibly relevant right now, not just for Connecticut, but, for communities all over the country that are trying to tackle this digital divide.
So we're breaking down the Connecticut Digital Equity Plan, which is called Everyone Connected. And this fascinating document comes from a great team. Doug Casey, Lauren Thompson, both from the Connecticut Commission for Educational Technology, and Sarah Eula-Minnick from the Office of the Governor. It's a really comprehensive look at a problem that pretty much every single state is facing.
Okay, so before we get into the nuts and bolts of the plan, we have to start with the big foundational question for this whole thing. What exactly is digital equity?
Well, the plan defines it as the condition where everyone, and I mean everyone, has the tech capacity they need for full participation in society, democracy, and the economy. And that part is so key, because this isn't just about having Wi-Fi. It's about having the tools and the skills to actually use it to improve your life.
So that's the goal, right? But to really get why the solution is what it is, we have to understand the problem first. So let's take a look at the reality of Connecticut's digital divide.
At first glance, this number looks pretty good. 92.3% of households in Connecticut have an internet subscription. You might look at that and think, hey, problem solved, right?
But when you do the math, that seemingly small gap, that 7.7%, that translates to over 76,000 households. I mean, just think about that. That is a stadium full of people who are cut off from telehealth, from remote work, online education, you name it.
Now, what's really eye-opening here is how this slide shows that the divide isn't random at all. In low-poverty areas, the rate of people without internet is just under 8%. But look at high-poverty areas. It absolutely skyrockets to over 34%. That is more than 4 times higher. This tells you right away, this isn't a tech problem, it's an economic one.
And yep, that economic link we just saw on the chart is exactly what the plan confirms. After all the research, all the focus groups, the number one barrier wasn't a lack of interest, it wasn't a lack of skill, it was simply the cost. So the plan goes even deeper to identify the specific covered populations who are hit the hardest by this affordability barrier. We're talking about our aging residents, folks with disabilities, veterans. And by naming these groups, the plan makes sure that the solutions can be targeted effectively instead of just, taking a one-size-fits-all approach that doesn't really work.
And this quote, wow, this is from a formerly incarcerated person, and it just brings the frustration to life, doesn't it? It shows that even if you can get access, that digital skills gap can be a massive, massive hurdle. Just imagine trying to navigate a job application when every single click feels like a puzzle. Okay, so that's the problem. It's big, it's complex, but the good news is Connecticut isn't starting from scratch. So the plan's first big move was to figure out what resources were already out there.
And how'd they do that? Well, they did a comprehensive asset inventory. This is such a critical first step in good policymaking, right? Before you go building anything new, you got to map out who is already doing the work at the state, regional, and local levels so you don't end up reinventing the wheel.
And this table gives us a fantastic snapshot of that whole ecosystem. So up at the top, you've got your state agencies handling the big picture stuff, like funding and policy. In the middle, you have regional groups helping coordinate. But honestly, the real magic happens at that local level, with places like public libraries and nonprofits. They are the trusted faces in the community, providing that direct, on-the-ground support.
Okay, so we have a clear picture of the problem, and we know what assets are already in place. So what's the actual strategy? How does this plan propose to connect everyone?
The strategy is really two-pronged, which is pretty smart. On one side, you've got these human-centered solutions, things like digital navigators giving one-on-one help and training. Then on the other side, you've got the infrastructure and program stuff, expanding networks, funding assistive tech. It's a fantastic combination of both people and pipes. You need both.
Let's just zoom in on what these digital navigators actually do, because it is such a smart human model. They don't just teach generic computer skills. They start with a person's specific goal, like, say, applying for a job. From there, they help get them a device, find a connection, and give them direct, hands-on training to get that one thing done. And that last step is crucial. They create a toolkit so this success can be replicated everywhere else. So we've seen the problem, we've seen the proposed solutions, but let's zoom out for a second. Why does any of this actually matter for the average person in Connecticut?
What's the real impact?
This is where the plan really hits home. It's not just about internet speeds. It's about 5 huge life outcomes: jobs, education, health, being involved in your community, and just getting access to essential services. This makes it so clear that digital equity isn't some luxury. It's the foundation for a better quality of life.
And that really is the bottom line, isn't it? This whole initiative, it's not a technology project, it's a people project. It's all about making sure every single resident has a fair shot to thrive in the 21st century.
So the Connecticut Plan gives us this fantastic roadmap. It maps the assets, it identifies the needs, it proposes real, concrete solutions. But it leaves us with the ultimate challenge, and maybe the most important question of all. How do you build a bridge of trust to connect all these resources with the very communities that have been left behind for so long? That's the real work that comes next.